Yes, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Doing a live 5 things today. So get your questions and comments in and we'll have a little bit of chat about all that's going on. But let's get stuck into it with the game and how it all played out yesterday. First and foremost, looks like Højlund has actually finally arrived. 4 goals in his last 4 Premier League games. Got a couple of assists to his name as well. I thought his goal yesterday was nothing short of world class. The position he takes it in, beating his man, striking his ball with his weak foot after some real nice dribbling for someone his size. I think United fans were right not to worry about him. And it's not like Ten Hag had a choice but to persist with him, but he did persist with him. And I hope now he's going into games thinking he will score rather than hoping he will score, because I think that puts a completely different sort of thing on it. His confidence is really starting to brim. The service to him did improve yesterday. If you keep feeding him like that, he's going to start coming away with goals from games very, very regularly. And from one real positive point to one, oh man, real negative point, Martinez and the injury. So Martinez has been absolutely sensational for United since his return. He's just the composure that he takes the ball with, the incisiveness in his passing, that there's just a real X factor about him as a footballer. And when he's not in the team, you miss him. He's amazing. And his presence alone, I think, gives us half a chance in games. And he's injured, and it is a worry. It collided with Kufal, who's held on to him really weird, just being an absolute sausage. And he's ended up coming on the outside of his knee. If we was to have any sort of a run at getting into the top 4 in the second half of the season, it really, really, really needed us to have Martinez. And I'm worried for what happens now. Hopefully he's okay. A couple of people seeming to make some semi-positive noises that it might be a couple of weeks at most. Let's hope that's the case. Because, again, we've got some rough games coming up where, United are not a favourite coming into some of these games. And we're going to need, certainly, one of our best players back ASAP. Garnacho. So I glossed over Garnacho a little bit yesterday. I said I thought he was better than Marcus. I probably should have gone into a little bit more detail than that. I thought Garnacho struggled a little bit in the first half, as did Marcus. Because of them having a 5 at the back, it's an effective 5. It's 3-4-3, but it's an effective 5 at the back. Because they had an effective 5 at the back, and because it's David Moyes, right? So you know that the defensive line is sitting around about the 6-yard line. He didn't really have a lot to get him behind. And that's the sort of inherent flaw in Rashford and Garnacho against teams that are going to, mid and low block. They don't really have the toolbox to play in between the lines as effectively as they do when it's in behind, which is why we probably had someone, like Sancho, like Greenwood, because those are players that are capable and willing to play in between the lines a little bit when it's a little bit more congested. Garnacho and Rashford are very much getting behind and be absolutely devastating with it. Now, I think one of the positive things about Garnacho is his mindset is absolutely bulletproof. And it's probably a little bit frustrating because he backs himself 15 out of 10. And that can be frustrating and that can lead to some poor decisions at times. But it makes him relentless in how he plays. He never lets his head drop. He never stops going at defenders because he's just got this weird inner self-belief that I'm going to get past you and I'm going to get in the mix with it. And it's resulted in him now having 5 Premier League goals this season. He is a breath of fresh air, and maybe there's something in him playing on the right-hand side because he seems to be getting at least a little bit more productive in there. And if he can start, chipping in with a goal and an assist, that's not bad going at all, I don't think. So, it did well. He did well. And he deserves a little bit more detail than he got last night, I think. I might talk about Dalot as well if everyone wants to in the comments, because it seems like a lot of you completely disagreed with my assessment of Dalot. My thing with Dalot is I've never had a drama with him in possession. I think he's been good in possession. I think he does suit what we're trying to do in possession. I like the positions he takes up. This isn't a point. This is an extra. So this is 6 things we learned. But when you look at how often he got done by Kudus had like almost more take-ons than the rest of the match combined, everybody else in the game combined. And it was against Dalot. Dalot won 1 out of his 7 tackles. The one he won was the big Hollywood one, which everyone is referencing, and rightly so, because it was a fantastic tackle. But he still got rinsed. You know, he's playing up against a player that's extremely difficult to work with, right? Let's have it right. Kudus is a fucking nightmare to deal with as a defender. But he struggled. Why would we lie about that? Like, what benefit is there to us to say, oh, Dalot was great yesterday or he's man of the match yesterday? No, he was good in possession. Off the ball, he was getting done by Kudus. So I'm not going to sit here and say I thought he had a great game when I don't think he had a great game. I think he was all right, but I wouldn't be sitting here, you know, pants off, cock out, because I don't think it was that level. Now, if you do, that's fine. All I would say to you is it's very easy to get drawn into the trap of watching the player on the ball. You've got to watch the players off the ball, and that's how you'll see a little bit more of what's going on in the game, in my opinion. That being said, clean sheet, which was one of my points. We did manage to keep a clean sheet despite, you know, we allowed West Ham a hell of a lot of opportunities. Onana commanded his box pretty well, I think it would say. There was mistakes out of Maguire, but even he was relatively solid too. Everybody else played their part. You could argue that they didn't have a ton of like clear-cut, like very obvious chances, but they had chances. And they had chances with players that we've seen finish those chances. Bowen, Kudus, Ward-Prowse. So it's a big, big clean sheet, that is. And hopefully one of more clean sheets to come going forward. And I'm going to leave it on a little bit of a question. Where's Amad? So some people disagreed with my assessment of Bruno. Some of you agreed with it. That's football. It is about opinions. I didn't think Bruno had a great game. I thought he was a little bit erratic still in possession. And in the last 10 minutes of the game, could we not have thrown Amad on? If we don't want to play him on the right, which I don't know why we wouldn't want to play him on the right. I think he's useful for that. But could we have not brought Amad on in the 10 role for 10 minutes at 3-0 when the game is done? Or even the last 5 minutes? You know, can we not just see him in there? He is a player that could probably help out as a false 9, as a 10, left winger, right winger. Like, you can fill this kid in like a ton of different positions. What's going on with Amad? Why are we why are we not seeing Amad? He's not gone out anywhere in January. That window's obviously closed now, so they chose to keep him, I'm sure. What's going on with him? Where is he? And why aren't we seeing him? I might even throw Laurie and the Athletic Boys a question and say, do us a favour, find out what's going on with him. Because where is he? Don't get it. Anyways, let's see what you guys are saying in the old questions. Struggling to load up. If I've missed any supers, let me know. SSN MUFC says, God knows what Palestri and Amad must have done or said to Ten Hag. Dennis says, Dalot was has way more determination in his game yesterday on the ball, finally making good decisions. Alex says, have I seen Bruno's passing map? Explaining how much more control Bruno showed in his passing. I've not seen it. What I was noticing, probably more in the first half, I think it'd be safe to say. In the first half, I was noticing him just shit passes. Not like, I sort of touched on this in the review yesterday, but it was playing balls that weren't like trying to thread it through the eye of a needle. Oh, it just got cut out. Never mind. Next one will go in. It was like very, very simple sort of square passes that were just going to no one. And that was fucking annoying me a little bit. Literally sitting there watching the game going, that's pissing me off. Hence why I mentioned it in the review. The Joker 94 says, hope you're okay. I hope you had a good weekend in Scotland. I did. There was a little bit of an incident that happened. I've stuck. Our video doesn't show the incident. I don't know if I would have shown the incident if I'd have recorded it, to be honest with you. But if you want to see, I explain what happened. I put quite a few paragraphs actually on Patreon. So there's a link. There's a link for Patreon in the description of every video if you want to go check it out. But on my community tab, I've got a link straight through to that post if you all want to go check it out. Keegan says, still not able to control a game despite the scoreline. West Ham created more than us in the first half in particular. Yeah, control was something I thought we've lacked a little bit. So it's one of those, isn't it? Duke says, Paddock Amateurs back. Well, there's a lot to come with the football team in terms of where we're trying to take some of our expansion. There is a possibility next season. I'm in negotiation. Some of these are done. But I'm in negotiations to sign off all the rest of these. If everything goes to plan, we should have next season under 8s, under 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s, 18s. We already have an existing 21s. A development team, which will be an international academy, plus the first team. That's what I'm hoping that we have next season. Whether or not the development team take the name amateurs or not, we would have a conversation with Lancaster and Cheshire League, because that's where we're going to stick them, and we will have a conversation about that. Jim back there with a super chat says, hope Ten Hag doesn't go back to the inverted wing-back system. That doesn't work in England. Short overlapping is key for Rashford to play in his natural rhythm. I disagree that it doesn't work in England. I do think inverting does work, especially when you're up against transition-heavy teams. I think having your 5 sort of defensive players, like a 6, 2 fullbacks, 2 centre-halves, I think having that sort of 5 of defensive structure, you can have 4 if you think you've got the output to do it, is required. And I think it's a good one. If you've got the midfielders that are going to get beyond into the box, or if you've got wingers that are comfortable in that final third with dribbling and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say it's completely useless. I think you've got to have the right players to make that thing happen, though. Kevin Fitz says, will Shaw play in the Martinez position? I think he might just play Maguire, you know. Aquib says, is INEOS confirmed yet? Hearing some say it isn't. I think they said it was going to take a while for the Premier League to ratify the paperwork. I don't think there's going to be any hiccups, though, looking at everything. Liam says, have I noticed the amount of times Højlund makes great runs and we pass wide instead? Yes, you just got to keep doing it. It's one of those. It's one of those. You just got to keep doing it. Gary de Bola says, Phillips has 2 games, 2 errors leading to goals for West Ham. Watch him start for England. There was a great post. Let me find it. Where's me? I can pull WhatsApp up on my computer. So there was an excellent post the other day where it was Gareth Southgate's gone and watched fucking Jordan Henderson, hasn't he? So, by the way, yeah, I'll answer your question. Yeah, I agree. Probably Calvin Phillips is probably like already booked to go to Germany for sure. But Jordan Henderson went and was watched by Gareth Southgate, and then someone's done a tweet which is 18 English players featured in the Newcastle and Luton game, 12 Everton and Tottenham, 10 Brighton Crystal Palace, 5 Burnley Fulham, 12 Sheffield United versus Aston Villa, yet Southgate goes and watches Jordan Henderson play for Ajax. Pathetic. I couldn't agree more. That is exactly why they'll never win fuck all with Gareth Southgate in charge. It's an absolute piss take. Keegan says, at what point do we overlook results and study performances? Because in my opinion, it's not sustainable. It's right fucking now, you know. I genuinely believe right now we're in the what's going wrong with the performances, because I don't really feel the performances are there. Alex says, does Southgate know Kobe Mainoo exists? Absolutely not. He definitely doesn't. Although from the performances I've seen in the Premier League, there's no way he shouldn't be starting. And I think Rice, Mainoo and Bellingham could be a ridiculous midfield for England. International tournaments, you want to exhibit control. And then you want to have options that you've got off the bench. England is blessed at the moment with quite a lot of attacking options. But it's not blessed with the sort of players that can control a game. Bellingham, Rice and Mainoo will keep the ball as good as any midfield that any international team can put out there at the moment. And I would think that would be a real positive. So expect Calvin Phillips to play. Robert says, the rest of the season hinges on Martinez. I tend to agree with that. Literally the linchpin, offensively and defensively. We look slow without him. Our only defender capable of playing balls through the lines. Couldn't have said it any better myself, mate. Totally agree. Colin says, notice Martinez trying to play out to Shaw at one point, and Shaw just turned his back and kept running, leaving Leisha frustrated. Funny what you see at the game live. Yeah, like if you don't just watch the ball, you see a lot. I love my seat in the Stretford end because it gives you a real tactical kind of overview. You do see a lot of runs that people are making. Do I attend the Thursday sessions at Paddock at all? No, I don't. My wife works on Thursdays, so I do a lot of things. Just could leave it there actually, but I do a lot of things that require me to be out of the house. So it's a marriage, right? There has to be give and take. We have a family. I have kids. I got to look after my kids as well at some point. And Thursdays is the one that I decide that I leave. So I take all the training on Tuesday. I used to take it on Fridays as well when we had a Friday session. But yeah, I leave Thursdays. We got a ton of coaches, so they all get a chance to take sessions. We should have an ex-United player taking a session for us tomorrow night. Looking forward to that. Notch says we can only be as good as our fully fit squad allows. Performances aren't going to be as good as we want. They can be better, though. Dave Keenan says, Woodgate going to watch Henderson. Did I say Woodgate? I meant Southgate. I'm tired. Lewis says, it's criminal that Southgate is a manager with this talented group. Reminds me of the golden era with Sven. Matthew says, need to look at replacement for Martinez if it's ACL. It was one of those awkward looking twists that seems innocuous but turned out to be serious. Yeah, I agree. I think so. Joe says, do I think Rasmus is slow and awkward at turning? No, I don't. I really don't. Alex says, I guess a Maguire-Varane partnership. I think so. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it's going to be. SH says, ETH happens to largely stick with the familiar faces unless someone performs excellently in training. Hence, we aren't seeing Amad, I presume. Yeah, but you're seeing Howson coming off the bench. Has he been leapfrogged by Howson in training? Because where's he coming from? You know what I mean? Remix says Martinez is out for 2 months. I hope that's not the case because that's effectively the season done. Alex says it's probably MCL, not ACL. Dan says it says MCL, not his ACL. Thoughts on Bayindir over Onana? Don't agree. Keith says, as an Irishman, I advocate for Southgate to be given another contract. I know talent when he sees it. Oh, he knows talent when he sees it. Yeah. I'm sure you would, yeah. And I'm sure the Scottish lot are trying to build a statue to him as well. Colin says England could have an excellent counter-attacking team, but they look down on that play style instead tried to play possession, but nowhere near as good as Spain and Italy. They could do, depending on who they like. They could play Duncan Stones at centre half, and then you've got the basis of a ball-playing centre half team. But he won't. He'll play Maguire. He just will. You could play Walker at right back and Shaw at left back, and you could have a back four that can play out, but he won't. And you could pair that with that midfield that would definitely look after the ball. And then, you just pick it, who you want to play up front. Whether it's Foden, it's Kane. He'll probably still go with Sterling regardless of what form he's in. But he's got options. He's got a lot of options. It's not quite France level, admittedly. I think France will be the favourites going into every tournament for the foreseeable because of the systems that they've had in place to create talent. But it's probably comfortably one of the third or fourth best squads going to be at the tournament. Who's going to fuck with England, realistically? France aside, the Dutch team, it's got gaps in it. It's got gaps in it. I don't think that the average of starting 11 is as good. Germany, not at the moment. They might have a little bit of an advantage being at home, but that German team at the moment, I think he's over the hill and not quite been fully refreshed yet. Yes, the likes of Musiala are going to have a big say, and he's quite young, but realistically, the bulk of that German side just isn't what it used to be. Portugal? No. Like, Italy? No. It's one of them, innit? Just isn't going to happen, I don't think. Dave says, Kobe Mainoo should declare for Ireland. Imagine that midfield. He should go play for England, even if it just keeps his value high. Ivo says, use the academy youth. Stop trying to waste money buying crap outside the club. It's not that simple, is it? It's never been that simple. Where does Mason Mount fit into this current team? Now, that's an excellent question. That is an excellent question. Possibly as one of the wingers, as like a wide playmaker. We will find out, though, I'm sure. We will find out. We will definitely find out. David Holt says Southgate likes his plain crisp, so he won't spice them up. Facts. Brian Casey says Garnacho has surely tied down that right wing position. Our best option at the moment. Still room to improve in terms of decision making, similar to Ronaldo when he first arrived. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, that selfishness and that backing yourself is probably right there. Yeah. Notch says, funny how England are one of the favourites when Germany, Italy, Holland, Portugal are having slumps. It's weird, isn't it? Like, there just isn't the great international sides like there was 20 years ago. And I don't understand why. Certainly, European footballers fell off hard, I think. I don't think it's anywhere near the level internationally. I mean, international football is it's such a step below like the Champions League for sure, but even the Premier League, I think it's a massive step below the Premier League. It's just, and people are like, well, that doesn't make sense. There's loads of players that don't play international football in the Premier League. Yeah, but that's because there's like more teams. But also, I'm just not feeling it. Nikhil says Anthony is slipping further and further out of contention. He played him on the left at the end of Wolves and he still managed to have a stinker of a cameo. Maybe we just need to take him out of the firing line a little bit and have him work on some stuff and see if that helps him, because, I think I agree. I think he is falling further and further from contention. It's just been announced that Neil Warnock's taking over Aberdeen. I don't know what I think about that. It's interesting. Did I watch Liverpool and Arsenal game? I did. I was mentioning one of my favourite things to do when Liverpool concede a goal is look where Trent Alexander-Arnold is, because invariably it's not hilarious. It's always hilarious. Luke says, can I quickly explain how good Greenwood was in that youth team when you watched him with your own eyes? I first saw Greenwood, I think he was 13, playing under 16s. You don't often get to watch the under 16s. That's one of the, you kind of have to be there watching the under 16s. And it's where I got a lot of info from as well, because the people watching the under 16s invariably are parents and coaches. There's not really a lot of fans watching those. And obviously running Stretford Paddock FC now, the days that I would go and watch those games, Saturday mornings usually, they're taken up now. So I'm going to struggle to get watching them. I have got a video coming out on the class of 22, class of 24, sorry, because those lads are flying and they're doing bits. Probably by the end of this week. I'm not sure what day. But yeah, I think when I first saw him at 13, I was like, oh, he moves different. He moved different to the players that was in that team. And when I think about the players that was in that team, I mean, I don't think any of them have made it, actually. I don't think any of them have made it properly, at least, anyway, from that team that, you're looking at the likes of Jayden Reed. Can't remember who else was in that team. But he stood out. And then when he got into the under 18s, which he did at about age, I think it was about 15, when he really started to break in, he was good. He was probably a step above Angel, who was fucking ridiculous at that level. But I'll be honest with you, he scored a lot more goals, and I think he got about as many as assists, but I don't think he looked as deadly as Sancho did. Right now, the team that's playing now, Fletcher, Shea Lacey, Ibrahimov, there's some fucking serious talent in that team at the moment. However, I don't know how many of them are going to make it. You need a lot of luck. You need to make sure you're not injured. You need someone not in your position to break through. It's one of those. Steve, from what I know, what areas do United tend to scout kids in, or do they just have a nationwide blanket? Isn't there rules about where you can scout kids from? Round here, the East Manchester Junior Football League is very good. And I would say the Premier Division of the East Manchester Junior Football League has got as many fucking scouts watching it as parents. It's a little bit embarrassing at times. Like, my own view on this, and people like Ronaldo will probably disagree. Um, People that have been in academies reckon you can spot academy players because of the fundamentals and some of the things that they've got in their technique that the lads who've stayed at grassroots to 12 or so don't have. Like there's a bit of polishing that goes on with lads that have been in academies, at 8, at 9, at 10. But my own view on this is, I would get them doing as much multi-sport as possible. So yes, play football, 1,000,000% play football. But I also think, I mean, this is changing. But like when I was younger, kids that were signed to academies weren't allowed to play with their grassroots teams. That's changing. It's still not a certainty to happen, but it is changing. And they weren't allowed to play with school and stuff like that. And I think that's wrong. I think play as much football as possible. Allow them to play as much football as possible. Allow them to try other sports. Allow them to go and play rugby. Allow them to play cricket. Allow them to do cross-country running. Just allow them to be fucking kids. Because the percentage of what's going to make it is so minuscule. It's so minuscule that before 11 and 12, don't put pressure on them. Just let them fucking play, man. Just let them play. And then at 11 and 12, which is still fucking ridiculously young, and I would love to know what the percentages, what the numbers in and numbers out is at United from 11 and 12 onwards to those that actually make a first team appearance. And then those who make a first team appearance, how many of those go and make 100 appearances at United? And I'd love to see what those numbers look like, because it'll be like you'll have better success probably just throwing sausage rolls at random fucking children on Market Street in town and picking out a future Premier League footballer than you would going through academies, which obviously that's not the case, but like that's what it feels like with the numbers. And then from 12, give them good fundamentals, allow them to understand not just football and the positions, but allow them to understand the industry, because they'll make good journalists and presenters and physios and scouts, and they all won't make it as footballers. So give them a chance in life as well as giving them an opportunity to play football. Curtis says, I'm hearing a lot of people say Rashford wasn't rated at youth level. Does that seem right, or is there any truth to that? No, he was rated. Of course he was rated. He was playing for England at fucking 14 or something, wasn't he? Of course he was. Keith says, do I feel like individuality in football is starting to fade with the emphasis on tactical systems? Yes, in a big, big way. And this is something that, as I said earlier, what we're trying to do with Paddock, we should have from under 8s all the way through to 21s. And I really don't know how to do this because I don't have the experience to do this, but I'm going to try and emphasize the only team that should have a pressure to win a game at Paddock is my team, is the first team. Everybody else, I don't really care if you win. I want to know that the kids are having fun and they like coming here and that they feel like they're learning stuff and their parents feel like they're looked after. Those are the most important things. And are they making friends? Because anyone that's played sport, you will have friends, especially if you played as a child. I've still got friends that I played sports with from fucking 30 years ago, right? That's just the nature of the beast. And I think that's the foundation of who you are as a person comes from all of those sorts of things. And I want that to be the legacy of what we do. Do we want to make Premier League players? Yes. Do we want to make Manchester United players? Yes. But that's got to come secondary to being a place that people enjoy coming, where they can make friendships. And they can be future Paddock supporters or first team players in the future, whatever. But one of the big things that I would really like to see, because I see academies taking it, everybody's a centre mid, right? Every single footballer that comes through now is a central midfielder. The specialist defenders have gone, the specialist strikers have gone. And I want that back. I want people that can, pick the ball up and take it past people, like a winger. I want people that have got predatory finishing, like strikers. That's what I want to see. Ultimately, if football carries on going the way it's going, where VAR takes the fucking nonsense out of goals, and I'm talking about the nonsense being the good stuff. If you take the good stuff out of goals, no one's turning up. And let's put the flair back into the game. And let's have people having fun, man. Because that's what it's about. You want to see a player taking it past people and fucking sticking one in the joint. You want that. That's what we're all here for. You know, you want to see a winger get it down, knock it, get to the fucking byline and bosh one into the box. You don't just want to see systems and systems and systems and systems. I would like to try and focus all of the training that we do for kids being based around, like, let's look at a legendary player like every week or every month or something like that. That would do me. I would love that. And I'd say, right, today we're looking at Cruyff. So what did Cruyff do? And we'll maybe look at some passing with the outside of the foot. We'll look at his turns. We'll look at his two-footed dribbles. We'll look at how he shot. And we'll just have fucking 30 kids all trying to do Cruyff turns all over the place, having fun with it. You know, and then we'll say, right, let's pick another player. It's John O'Shea week. What we're going to do? We're going to try and nutmeg every fucker. Do you know what I mean? Like, have fun with it. You're introducing skills, but you're going to make them have fun with it. And then we have Mark Hughes week. You can only score a goal if it's a fucking overhead or a bicycle kick. Let's have a fucking laugh, innit? You know, this is what we're here for. People forget, even when we're analysing the game like this, or, you know, we're doing whatever, we've got to remember this is a hobby and a pastime, and it's meant to be fun. It's not meant to feel like fucking work, and it certainly shouldn't feel like work for fucking 8-year-olds. Let's have fun. You know, some of the most exciting players that we've seen, the likes of Wayne Rooney and stuff like that, that's what we want to see. We want to see people that just fucking got the dog in them. You know what I'm saying? The Ashley Young turn, I mean. Sorry. Daniel Coe says, Rooney week, shout at the ref and bang a volley in. But yeah, like, introduce the fun, man. Introduce the fun. Let's have it. And Ivo Bozic says, next week seeing defenders Cruyff turn in our box. Well, unfortunately, my assistant manager was the fucking absolute king of Cruyff turns. So composed, so relaxed. He played with us for the first season, but he's played up and down the league. He's played at Wembley with Glossop, played for FC United, had a decent non-league career. But the big thing about him is like he's so press resistant. You press him, he just fucking pulls a Cruyff turn out of nowhere. You think you've got him, and he's just fucking done you. And I've never seen it fail. It works a fucking 100% of the time. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up there. Thanks as always for tuning in, everyone. Take it easy, and hope you have a good week. I'll see you in the next one. Oh, if you want to know what happened, I have just dropped a video on Patreon. It was only a short little video with a long sort of written explanation, but there's all sorts of stuff coming out on there. If you want to go check it out and support the channel, it'd be much appreciated. I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.